All right. And can I get a name and occupation?
All right, hello. I am Matthew Rodriguez, and I am currently a college student studying architecture.
All right. And to start with the interview, what was your initial reaction when you found out that Joe Biden would be the one chosen by Democrats to go against Trump in the election?
I actually thought he was the optimal choice. I know there was a lot of support for Bernie Sanders, but I was pretty happy that Joe Biden won because I stood with him the whole time.
Was Biden your first choice to represent the president for Democrats?
Yeah, I'm more of a moderate person when it comes to politics, and I feel like I align a lot with Joe Biden. So he was my first and most optimal pick for the Democrats.
All right. And how do you feel about Trump wanting to go back to doing physical debates now that he got out of the hospital, but he may potentially still have COVID? Do you feel like he should stay in doing virtual debates, or should it go to physical debates?
No. If they're doing a next debate, which I heard they're probably not going to do, they need to do it virtually. They cannot do a physical debate for the next one. He has had COVID-19 for less than 2 weeks now, and he has not come up with a negative test yet, or at least he has not announced it. Therefore, they cannot do a physical debate.
How do you feel about him infecting all of his like key people in the White House? His speaker, not his Secretary of State, everybody else.
Well, it just shows that they didn't take the precautions, and the fact that COVID-19 got into one of the most secure places in the country just shows how mismanaged our government has handled the coronavirus situation.
You feel like is Republicans should step away from the White House and have Democrats like move in
No,
from.
I do not agree with that whatsoever. Our country needs to have multiple takes on politics. I do not believe that it should be a one-party system at all whatsoever. There needs to be a form of balance and power. And honestly, I feel like there's a lack of third party too. So I mean, we just need more takes on our politics and our policies. I know that people might view Republicans as like, oh, they're Trump's party or whatever, but like the fact of the matter is the basis of Republicans is that they just want to have more of a laissez-faire, hands-off approach and let the people decide. But I know there are a few Republicans that aren't necessarily the best, but that doesn't define all Republicans.
All right, and moving on to vice president, what are some positives and negatives you see in both Mike Pence and Kamala Harris?
I feel like they're both equal opposition to one another. From what I saw in the vice presidential debates, they managed to defend their ticket mate. Kamala defending Biden and Pence defending Trump, and I feel like Pence probably had the edge over Kamala Harris in that debate too. He managed to defend Trump on a lot of controversial topics and corner Kamala in a lot of situations as well. And I feel like it kind of reassured to a lot of Trump supporters or people that are on edge that there is a calmer side to the Trump administration, which was through Mike Pence.
What are some key takeaways you want to discuss about the vice presidential debate that happened last week? From key things to the fly.
Well, number one, the fly was on Mike Pence's head. No, but aside from that, I honestly, the main thing that I could take away from this is that they're both fair opponents for one another, and that debates can still be handled respectfully. And yeah, and it's complete different contrast from the first presidential debate. There is still some hope in America. These debates can still be handled with integrity and with respect to one another.
If you were in a room with a bunch of independent voters who still do not know who to vote for, what would you say to them about their decision?
I would tell undecided or independent voters to vote on the candidate that will benefit the soul of the nation, that would benefit one another, meaning like benefit everybody in the country, not just one specific party or person or group of people, and to vote for a person who has values that align with theirs, and just to be careful on who they vote for. But at the same time, um, it's their vote, their choice, which is why I love this country, is because we get to make these decisions, and that's the beauty of it. So it's their choice ultimately. Just find the candidate that matches closest to your values and go ahead and vote for them.
After the November 3rd election, Trump's saying that they want a fair, if not, that he's going to still be locked in the White House. And do you feel like that could happen? And what would you think will happen if Trump loses the debate, the election?
If Donald Trump loses the election by a small margin, I feel like it's going to go down to the whole scenario that happened with Bush, where they had to do a whole recount, and it went up to the Supreme Court, which ultimately decided who won the election. And this whole thing will last out a couple of extra days, maybe even a month after, especially because it's mail-in ballots. I feel like Donald Trump will criticize the mail-in ballot and say that the whole election was a fraud. But if it is by a large margin or like a sweep or something, I feel like Donald Trump will just accept the results. But regardless, he will be stubborn about it. But I feel like eventually he will give up his seat in the White House if he does lose.
Going to balance before the last question, how do you feel like ballots and is beneficial, or is it better to do it physically or by mail?
Personally, I have been doing like a ballot drop off where I get it by mail and then I just go and drop it off. Um, but I feel like personally, I think it's better to fill out your ballot at home because it gives you time to do your research on each and every single like proposition and learn about the candidates. But once again, it's ultimately up to the person and how they feel is best for them. I personally feel like mail-in voting is safe, but if the person does not feel it's safe, then go ahead and vote physically. I know that right now we're going through a pandemic, so when you do go, please socially distance and wear a mask and just be cautious.
Last question. What would you say to both Democratic and Republican voters who, before the results of the 2020 election on November 3rd?
So to all Democrats, Republicans, Independents, moderates, anybody in any party, vote on the person who you feel like matches closely to your values and who would benefit the nation as a whole. It's ultimately your vote, your choice. So go out there, be safe, vote, and do what you can to help the country.
Right. And where can we find you on social media or on video?
You could find me on Twitter at matt.disney, that is MattDotDisney, and on YouTube you could find me at Matthew with an exclamation mark.
All right. Thank you so much for participating in this
Thank
interview,
you.
and hope you have a great day. And to
You
all of
too.
those, and to all of those who are watching on YouTube, go out and vote. Your vote matters.
It does.